Coming up on the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show today,
we're going to talk about winter gardening in your home,
as well as bulb planting, what you need to know now to get pretty flowers in the spring.
And author and blogger Teresa O'Connor.
Plus your garden questions. All that starts right now. Welcome to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show on 860 AM WNOV and W293CX 106.5. So happy you've taken a little time out of your day to join us. I'm your host, Joy Baird. Beside me is my wife, co-host, best friend, and gardening partner,
Holly Baird.
The WisconsinVegetableGardener.com is the website that contains now 1,200 plus garden videos, short and long format videos, as well as every single episode of this particular radio show in video and podcast form, as well as it's on your favorite podcast providing website. You can get a hold of us in a number of ways. One is through email at twvgshow@gmail.com. You can also tweet us. Our Twitter handle is TWVGshow or hashtag TWVG. There's a pattern developing here. Or you can also call us on the Ivy Organics 3-in-1 Plant Guard hotline.
That's correct. The Ivy Organic 3-in-1 Plant Guard naturally protects plants against damaging sunburn, insects, and rodents, protects newly installed plants and trees, shields pruned and damaged surfaces for use on your roses, fruit and nut trees, ornamental trees, and shrubs. This product is non-toxic, environmentally safe, and organic. For more information, visit ivorganics.com. You can call in at 414-444-5250 anytime during the show with your question or comment.
Just during the show. You can email us.
You can email us anytime
yeah.
at twvgshow@gmail.com.
That's right. So we're going to get in the program here. It's about growing indoors over winter. Many people believe that the garden season only, some people think gardening only runs from Memorial Day here in the Midwest area to about Labor Day, but we can grow indoors. And this particular segment is sponsored by Happy Leaf LED.
Happy Leaf LED. This segment is sponsored by Proudly Made in the USA, a grow light for beginners or advanced indoor gardeners. They have universal LED recipe. That means you just turn it on and watch your leafy greens, herbs, vegetables, any plant really grow and thrive. It's anywhere, anytime gardening. A professional grade grow light with a home gardener's affordability. No fans, no motors, just plug it in and grow. Find out more and visit happyleafled.com. and use code WVG at checkout to save 5% on orders of $50 or more.
Yeah, they have a variety of different sizes of grow lights and kits in which you can grow indoors at your home or on your desk at work all year round.
Yeah, they have a cute little
garden in a box.
Garden in a box, yep.
So, with that being said, number one, we need a good grow light. So we've got the Happy Leaf LED grow lights that we can utilize, whether you're in a 4-inch light, a 17-inch light, a 33-inch light, or beyond. They are made in the USA, and the owner actually invented and understands the light waves and all of that spectrums.
Right, he's the creator, and it's a nice small business.
So you can also grow in hydroponics and aquaponics. We'll touch briefly on those, but we're mainly going to focus on the grow light and growing indoors in soil medium because that's the most affordable or most easy to do for anyone. Aquaponics is the practice of growing vegetables, fruits in water. You put a nutrients in that water, and the roots grows into the water. The roots root in the water. You use other material, stones to grow through, other type of mediums, and then you got to keep the pH regulated. You've got to give the nutrients for it. So it's a little more of a, if you're new to it, fidgety type of getting things balanced. Some things grow really well, other things have issues. And then aquaponics is the practice of growing in that same type of condition, but instead of using nutrients in the water, you're supplementing that nutrients with fish from another area, and you're bringing that fish, essentially fish waste that's in the water, running it through the system in order for the plants to pick up the nutrients in which is needed to grow correctly or properly. So it's a little more in-depth in the hydroponic and aquaponic type of growing. We've done hydroponics on a very, very small scale. Oh, it's called a one-bucket system. Worked really well for greens.
It work well, yeah.
But again, you've got to have grow lights if you're not going to have it next to or near or outdoors type of thing.
Right. So if you don't want to, maybe you want to just try this out and see what happens this winter and then decide if you want to invest next winter or later on. You can do something like planting herbs or leafy greens by a south-facing window.
Right. And to get the ultimate use of this in order to grow these, we would recommend the LED light, not simply because they're sponsoring the program, but because we've used that product. We use the Happy Leaf LEDs, and it's phenomenal the way it works. And they say if you use it year round, it's the cost of about $12 in utilities. So what are the easiest things in which we can grow indoors? If we're going to go easy and simple, we don't want to try to grow cucumbers or pumpkins or tomatoes indoors, which we have grown successfully tomatoes indoors. Does require some space.
Leafy greens are ideal. Mm-hmm. Herbs are ideal. We grow herbs year round in a window.
Right.
Inside. So you don't have to have anything difficult. One thing to keep in mind is that you could end up with soil gnats, but they don't last very long.
Right.
But it is something that, you might have.
Now, if you go with a soilless medium.
Right, you go with a soilless medium, but then you have to add the nutrients.
Right.
So it's kind of like what do you want to do?
And we've got plenty of videos online that shows how to grow indoors in a variety of different ways. And there's a lot of great resources online. But leafy greens, we're talking lettuces, is probably the easiest one. Now, when you plant lettuce, keep in mind that with the particular Happy Leaf LED light, you can get 3 trays under one set of lights, and it will do just fine.
And when he's talking about 3 trays, he's talking about the 10 by 20 inch trays, not like small, tiny trays. Like
so we want to space and time out when we plant these items, because we don't want to plant 3 square feet of leaf lettuce and it all get ready for example, it's already on Tuesday. I can't, or you can't particularly eat 3 square feet of leaf lettuce, 3 cubic square feet. So you plant 1 tray or a half a tray this week and a half a tray next week, and space that out so you have a continuous harvest.
But you can do like radishes too.
Yeah, you can do radishes.
You can do like root crops. That's not a problem. Maybe some carrots.
You need depth.
But you do need the depth. So you have to keep that in mind as well. The nice thing about the Happy Leaf LED grow light is that you can lower it easily. You can make it higher easily, but you don't have to worry about it like necessarily being too close, because it does cascade a nice light overall.
But if we're going to grow something simple, I would say leaf lettuce is an easy thing to do. And the recommendations on leaf lettuce, I believe it's like 12 plants per square foot. Plant, and you can see videos and photographs on all our platforms where we actually take leaf lettuce seed and we coat it the soil to where you can't see the soil. So where there's thousands upon thousands of seeds, and it looks just like grass growing. It's so intensely packed. You're utilizing the space you have available, and you can cut and come again on those particular things.
I would definitely try growing, like if you want to have something fresh aside from leaf lettuce, herbs, but even things like chives. Chives are nice to have in different recipes, in your eggs, whatever. Those are nice to have.
And depends on what you're growing, the device in which you need to plant it in. It makes sense. Even indoors, the smaller the device, the smaller the unit of soil mass, the quicker it's going to dry out, because the dryness of the air in the house over the winter, the heat sucks that moisture out. So you want to keep that in mind as well. If you want to do something that you really don't need a grow light for, microgreens.
Yeah, microgreens are easily grown on a windowsill.
What are microgreens? Because we can get this at sub shops. Do you want microgreens?
Are you talking about sprouts?
Sprouts. Okay, let's go with sprouts first.
Okay.
There's a difference here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So sprouts are basically sprouted seeds.
Okay.
You don't need anything fancy. You just need a glass jar. It doesn't have to be a mason jar, just a glass jar. And then you can use like an old piece of screening or some old pantyhose, whatever, to put over the top of that jar so that you can put water in there and rinse the water out.
It can breathe.
Yeah, and it can breathe too, but you need to be able to strain it a little bit too. So you start with your seeds. Most people do like radish seeds, smaller seeds, carrot seeds. You can sprout those. We sprouted pumpkin seeds, and that was disgusting. Yeah. So the smaller the seeds, the better. You get better tasting sprouts. So
beets
seeds.
Beets, Swiss chard, that type of brassica.
Yeah. So you just kind of soak them, rinse them, and then after a few days, they'll start to grow, and then within less than a week, you'll have a good amount of sprouts.
Now let's talk about microgreens, since we brought that term up.
Microgreens are typically just smaller pieces of lettuce.
Right, or other plant like beets or cabbages or broccoli that's just sprouted up that you can cut and eat right away. It doesn't regenerate a new plant once you harvest that small 1 or 2 or 3 inch tall plant that you're harvesting. So it's a very quick turnaround. There's a lot of nutrient based. It's very nutrient dense. So that's something that you can look at, that you can do in trays or in pots. But again, it's not like lettuce where you cut the leaf lettuce, and it comes back. These are a one and done deal.
One and done, yep.
So other things in which we can grow indoors, we have been able to grow successfully bush beans because those are self-pollinating. We want to avoid, for the most part, growing plants in which need pollination. I mean, we got a dwarf lime tree in the kitchen in which we have to physically hand pollinate with Q-tips from the male and female flower. But for the vegetable or green line, tomatoes, we've been able to do that successfully. Again, we've had to elevate the light higher in that area versus other areas where the plants are smaller. So what we find is the greens seem to be the best way to go. The repetitive or the quickness of the greens. Again, you can do spinach, Swiss chard. It's very easy to do. And you can get very lush, large plants out of those particular...
But I think it's also good to point out that you can do herbs.
Yes.
Because you pay a lot of money at the store for fresh herbs. So if you can grow them, year-round, inside or outside, wherever you decide to grow them, but in the winter you can grow them inside, then you have the ability to save money, and you kind of have something nice and green growing in your house.
And it does, to a certain level, purify the air. These things do clean some of the air, and based on the specific plants in which you're growing, has more of an effect than other plants. So just a small little snippet of things you can grow indoors. It doesn't have to be, we're done, it's winter. We can grow herbs, we can grow greens. We definitely grow lettuce indoors over the winter months, and you can do it even on just the window next to the patio type of thing, but you want a preferably south-facing window at best to make it work. You could do east. That will work as well. We've made east windows or east window work as well as west. North, you're not going to have the success that you would because it's just a very dark area of the property whenever you don't have the sun on the north side. So when we come back, we're going to talk about planting bulbs. We need to plant bulbs now in order to get pretty flowers in the spring. We're going to go over the techniques in which you need to follow so you can get that pretty landscape and impress your friends right after this.
Got a question? Email the show at twvgshow@gmail.com.
Hoss Tools wants to help you grow your own food. From seed starting supplies, hand tools, drip irrigation, harvesting equipment, and a complete line of all-natural pest control solutions, they've got you covered. Keep your garden weed-free with their time-tested, American-made wheel hose that are built to last a lifetime. And their precision garden seeders have proven design for planting a wide variety of seeds. Hoss Tools has what you need to get the most out of your growing space, large or small. Free shipping and outstanding customer service. Shop online or request a free catalog at hosstools.com.
The number one key to healthy, productive plants are the roots. Starting from seed to full-grown plants, rootmaker.com has the answer. From seed starting trays with an innovative design that air prunes the roots, creating a fabulous root system, never again will you have root-bound plants, to multiple gallon grow bag sizes to raised beds. Rootmaker.com has your grow needs covered. Visit rootmaker.com.
Pomona's Universal Pectin is high-quality pectin that gels reliably with low amounts of any sweetener. If you're trying to reduce the amount of sugar in your diet, you'll love Pomona's Universal Pectin. Now you can make healthy homemade jams and jellies sweetened to your taste. You can use sugar, honey, or any alternative sweetener you'd like. Pomona's Universal Pectin keeps indefinitely when stored in an airtight container. Easy to use, versatile, and comes with directions and recipes in every box. Find out more and where to buy at PomonaPectin.com. Available at most natural food stores and online.
Root Assassin, a garden tool that does all the root functions with its advanced shovel that has serrated edges on both sides. Find out more information at rootassassinshovel.com. Purple Cow Organics quickly and naturally increases the uptake of nutrients and water to your plants with their new bioactive vegetable supercharger designed to meet the unique needs by helping the living organisms in the soil help plants uptake the nutrients more quickly through their roots and leaves. Find out more at purplecoworganics.com. Flame Engineering, home of the Weed Dragon, the perfect propane torch kit for home and garden use. For killing weeds, no need to pull or spray. 100 other uses. Find out more at flameengineering.com. Propagate your own basil plants. This garden fun fact is sponsored by ManureTea.com. Get your 3-pack today. Drop the tea bag in water, let steep, then feed your soil, not your plants. 100% organic. Find out more at ManureTea.com. Always free shipping. You can propagate your basil plant by 2 ways. 1, starting with seed, or 2, taking a cutting from another plant, making sure it's not a woody stalk, and suspending it in water for 2 weeks until roots develop. And then you can move it to soil and grow it indoors next to a window all winter long.
Blue Mel's Garden and Landscape Center offers an awesome selection of high-quality garden and landscape products. We have just the plants you're looking for: annuals, perennials, veggies, herbs, and more. Plus, you can always count on us to answer all of your questions and offer expert advice. Blue Mel's also carries the largest selection of bulk landscape materials in the area. Enjoy a beverage from our coffee shop while your kids run around in our huge playground. Join our growing list of highly satisfied customers. Visit the garden center that offers everything you're looking for. Visit Blue Mel's today.
Blue Mel's, 4930 West Loomis Road, 414-282-4220. The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show is brought to you by the following: Flame Engineering, Eco Garden Systems, Bobex, Plant Success, Beans and Barley, Am I Gardener, Outpost Natural Food Co-op, Root Assassin, Manure Tea, The Gardener's Hollow Leg. Find all sponsors at thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com and thank them for their support.
Looking for the only garden talk radio show on your dial? You found it, the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show with your hosts Joey and Holly Baird.
Well, when it comes to planting flowers and having a beautiful landscape, sometimes you've got to prepare, and preparing in the fall for spring flowers is what we're going to talk about. We're talking about planting flowers in the fall, bulb planting, where this is perennials, not annuals. Annuals are plants in which you plant in the spring, typically, and they grow, and then that's the end of their life cycle. Perennials are ones you plant once, and they continue to come back year after year to a certain degree.
Right. So you want to plant these in the fall. You can plant lilies in the spring. Okay. But all the rest of these are fall bulbs.
Okay. So what we want to do is we want to figure out, and we're going to focus, kind of be broad here because we have literally listeners in all growing zones. So you want to plant you want to identify the zone that you're in. Here in Milwaukee, we're in zone 5A, 5B. And each bulb or variety of bulbs are designated or grow for a specific growing zone.
Right. So unlike vegetables, sometimes you can get away with planting not exactly your zone. With these bulbs, you want to. So you don't want to grow zone 6 if you're in zone 5, or 4 if you're in zone 5. So that being said, you want to pay attention to that. If you do get the wrong bulbs, they may not come up, they may not survive. They're more sensitive.
So, and then if something's designed for 4, you might be able to get away with it growing in 5 because it's a little warmer. But we want to try to focus on the zone in which
the cold hours.
The cold hours, right?
Yeah. So when you plant these bulbs, you plant them with the top up, just like garlic. But if you're not sure, then just take your best guess. And
don't worry about it, because if you put it incorrectly, they will grow and come up out of the ground.
It'll figure it out. But, do your best guess. And you plant it basically 3 times the depth of whatever the size of the bulb is.
So if the bulb is 1 inch,
you're going to plant it 3 inches.
Right.
Now, sometimes pests will try to dig up the bulbs, like squirrels or maybe raccoons. I'm not even entirely sure, but typically the squirrels. So you can do a few things there. One, you can plant it closer to a freeze.
Right.
Or you can put chicken wire over the top.
Okay. And you can either, leave that chicken wire, it's called poultry netting, over the plants, and it will kind of grow in, the plants will grow in the ground, and everything will grow through it, and you actually leave it on the ground, and it will, just sit there and basically rust and rot away. So you can certainly do that when it comes to trying to prevent the animals from digging those plants up.
Right. So that's one thing. You want to make sure you're planting in loose soil. They're bulbs, so they're basically like a root, is what it is. So you want to have nice, loose, loamy soil. Densely packed soil is not good. It's not going to give them a chance to grow.
Right. So, you keep that in mind. And it just really depends on your discretion on what you feel. Obviously, if it's concrete type clay soil, not a good thing. If it's grass that was there and you've dug a hole there and it seems pretty okay, they'll be fine. They're going to do fine. And again, we want to plant them, you said, just before a freeze, to try to lock them in the ground to prevent the animals from digging them up, because that's really going to be your ultimate fight to get these things to grow, is animals coming and trying to eat them.
Right. And then when you plant them, you want to think about where the shade is. However, if it's something like a crocus, which is going to be first up in the spring, daffodils usually come up in April before the trees are filled in. You don't necessarily have to worry about that. But if it's something like a lily or an allium, you may have to worry. So you want to think about that, what you're planting, and what your shade situation is like when it's going to emerge.
Now, when we plant these bulbs, we want to try to, again, get in decent soil or fertile soil. And nature kind of takes care of itself. But if you're in really unpleasant soil, you want to try to find a better spot, or you will have to probably fertilize the second year with an all-natural fertilize, because the nutrients in the bulb is what's going to keep that plant alive the first year and allow it to root and try to take what nutrients up it can. You might have to supplement and help it along the second year if you're in very, very poor soil. So if we can get fertile soil or decent soil or average soil, you're going to be far ahead of the game.
Now, the best and foolproof to plant are hyacinths. Hyacinths, I can't say that. Daffodils and alliums. So if you're like, this is my first year, blah, 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 that's what you want to go for. It'll give you some confidence. They'll grow. You'll be good. Daffodils are pretty indestructible. They kind of just continue to grow forever. You may have to divide them at some point because they might start to kind of spread a little bit. So definitely something to think about is if you like daffodils, you're good to go.
Lilies will last a long time. A lot of these other bulbs, we've talked to a couple of experts, because of the way the industry has worked and how they're and everything. 2 to 3 years is kind of what we're looking at.
And that's especially for tulips. A lot of people like tulips, but we have to keep that in mind. The first year, just plant them. You plant them in your nice loose soil. The second year, you do have to fertilize them, and it doesn't hurt to fertilize them year after year, just to boost your soil and whatnot. But the first year, you don't have to worry about that.
So, with that being said, we want to look at how many do we get in a package. If you go to your garden center, you're going to get between 10 and 25 based on the manufacturer. It's kind of what we're looking at, and when we want to. Holding them, I've had questions about, I forgot to plant my bulbs, now it's January, what can I do? Well, can I put them in the freezer to mimic the cold hours and then plant them? Well, you can try to do that. It's really kind of a 50-50 shot whether or not they will do well, because that's why we have to plant them in the fall, because it's called cold hours, in order to get the internal DNA, whatever you want to call, in the bulb to go through its cycle in order for it to grow correctly in the spring. We need it to have so many cold hours, and that also depends on your zone area and the type of bulb or flower in which you are trying to get developed and grow. Can you plant these in a container?
No. Not ideally. So you need
Not ideally. No. Some people can make it work successfully.
Yeah, you can try. I think if it was your first year planting bulbs, though, I would just go in the ground. Because
it's a plant and basically forget. In the container, you're going to have to remember to water, even though it's cold and it's winter and whatever the case is. And that container is elevated, which exposes it more to the air and actually affects the development of the bulb whenever spring comes. So we want to just put them in the ground. We can put these pretty much anywhere that we want to plant. Now,
you can use an auger. You can use a bulb planter. You can use a trowel, whatever. If you use an auger, like an auger driller, you want one that has what's called a slipping clutch.
Well, the drill.
The drill.
The drill has a slipping
Right.
clutch.
So the drill, so that you're not drilling and all of a sudden this thing catches a root and then it spins around and breaks your wrist.
So a lot of you have to look for these. If you're going to use a drill and place an auger, you can use an auger from Power Planter. They're a sponsor for next year. They've signed on. They have a variety of different sizes. If you're going to plant a lot, and what this slipping clutch on this drill is, you may have to ask specifically for it because not all manufacturers create this on their drill. But it's whenever you catch something, instead of it going, it goes and it stops spinning and it pops it.
What's that noise again?
Yeah, it keeps it stops the bit from spinning, and keeps just whatever it catches on, so it doesn't hurt your wrist or whatever.
And when we talk about lilies, we're talking about traditional lilies, not day lilies. Day lilies are
a tuber.
Regular lilies are a bulb.
Right.
That's definitely something to think about.
Yeah, the tubers.
Well.
That's typically something you buy as a start.
If you plant these, in October or whatever, and you start to see them sprout out, that's okay. That's not a big deal. They'll do their thing. It'll be fine.
It's kind of like we experience with garlic. We plant it, try to get it 30 days in the ground before freeze, and if they do start coming up, it's not a big deal on that. They'll be fine. We don't want it with these flowers. We don't want to mulch them. We just want to plant them the normal depth in which is recommended, and leave them be. They'll be fine with that. If you keep it too warm, that's going to affect them, the development of them. So is there anything else that we have, the basic planting of flowers? And when we talk about how long these things will bloom, it really depends on the conditions in which they're growing. If it's a really warm, hot couple of days, they're not going to last as long as if it's kind of a gloomy, dry, or gloomy, cool, not so hot. The time of bulb or the flower exposure varies based on the conditions. There's no set time frame.
In the spring, when they're done, you can trim them back.
Well, you can trim them back. A lot of times, many gardeners will just kind of leave them alone for a couple of weeks or a month to allow the green to absorb as much sunlight to redevelop and re-energize the bulb before it goes back into dormancy the next year. And with these flowers, it is a one and done. There's not going to be multiple blooms. It's going to be one bloom for a couple of days or maybe a week, and then that's it. So it's not one of these things like you'd see on a marigold, for example, where the flowers begin to die back. You dead ahead to encourage more growth or more flower development on that. So if you're going to look at planting some bulbs, getting some bulbs in the ground, now's the time. Go to your garden center. If you're here in the Milwaukee area, you always check with Blumel, see what they have available, and get them in the ground. And you can color coordinate these so they each come up at a different time, and the colors, kind of cascade across the flower bed. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk with Master Gardener she gardens in California and Idaho, and she's also an author and a blogger. Teresa O'Connor will be with us right after this.
.24/7, 365. The WisconsinVegetableGardener.com has all the gardening information you need: videos, digital magazines, replays of shows, and more.
Do you have a problem with deer or small herbivores eating your vegetation? There is a natural solution that is safe for your pets and family. Bobex is the answer. An environmentally friendly solution to protect your plants, will not wash off, and is guaranteed. Bobex Deer was independently tested against 9 known competitors and rated 93% effective, second only to a physical barrier. Bobex can be used on all types of ornamentals, trees, and shrubs. Ask for it by name at your local independent garden center. Find out more, visit bobex.com. BOBBEX.com.
An Oya is an unglazed porous clay pot with a short neck and a wider belly. Bury your Oya neck deep in your raised bed, container, or ground garden and let the Oya do your watering by releasing water as needed. How? By soil moisture tension for all you techies out there. This is an eco-friendly, efficient, ancient way to water your plants using up to 70% less water than other irrigation methods. It saves you time and is easy to install. Find a retailer through DrippingSpringsoyas.com. Smart watering, easy gardening. Mycorrhizae is a beneficial fungus from PlantSuccessOrganics.com that will greatly increase your plant's germination ability and healthier root structure. You can increase seed sprouting, root growth, and general plant germination. Mycorrhizae can be used with hydroponic root cutting, seed sprouting, cocoa coir, and soil. PlantSuccessOrganics.com carries powder, granule, and tablet form of mycorrhizae. Increase the level of mycorrhizae in your soil to give your plant the optimal opportunity to produce incredible harvests. For more information and to purchase, visit PlantSuccessOrganics.com.
The Gardener's Hollow Leg, the debris and harvesting bag you wear, comes with its own belt attachment, perfect for doing light pruning, weeding, harvesting on the ground or on a ladder, and many other uses. Find out more at thegardenershollowleg.com. Save 10% by using the word veggies at checkout. Zaz Products, offering great quality supplements that can help personal health and increase longevity. Committed to bringing you the highest quality products at the lowest price. Find out more at zazproducts.com. Tall Earth Wood Treatment, all-in-one preservative and stain, offers lifetime protection and creates a unique silver-aged wood finish. All ingredients are non-toxic, eco-friendly, perfect for garden beds and veg trucks. Find out more at tallearth.com. Free shipping on all orders. Use coupon code WISCONVEG to save 15% off orders placed at tallearth.com.
Beans and Barley Market and Cafe, a neighborhood specialty grocery store for the east side and greater Milwaukee area, where you can find all you need, from fresh produce to bakery to organic frozen dinners, from wine to fresh squeezed carrot juice, a health food store with hundreds of products, vitamins, supplements, bath and body items, magazines, cards, books, and a knowledgeable staff. Catering available, open daily at 8 a.m. The restaurant serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week with a menu of good, healthy, homemade food, including vegetarian and non-vegetarian specialties. 1901 East North Avenue, Milwaukee, 414-278-7878, and online at beansandbarley.com.
The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show is brought to you by the following: Haas Tools, Tree Diaper, Root Maker, Seeding Square, Rebel Green, Dripping Springs Oil, Zaz Products, Shield and Seal, Pomona Universal Pectin. Find all sponsors at the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com and thank them for their support.
The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener, your home for Garden Talk Radio, with your hosts, Joey and Hallie Baird.
Well, we talked about earlier about bulb planting as well as growing indoors, but there's still time now to get the outside of your home looking very nice and appealing and taking care of some of the problems that you might have. If we need to revitalize the flower beds with some mulch, top off some of the raised beds if we're getting close to getting done with gardening with some Purple Cow raised bed mix or compost, or 38 other different types of bulk materials from Blue Mills.
What's those called? Mums?
Mums, yeah.
In the fall
mums.
kale,
yeah.
Something like that.
Ornamental kale.
Kale. So you can go to bluemills.com, call 414-282-4220, or visit them at 4930 West Loomis Road in Greenfield, just south of Layton.
They have all of that and a whole lot more. And again, you don't need a truck or a trailer or a dump truck in order to get this bulk material. A couple of 5-gallon buckets and a trunk of your car. It will work just well. I've done it, so you can as well. Well, Holly, let's go to the Ivy Organics 3-in-1 Plant Guard Hotline and bring in our next guest.
Teresa O'Connor is a master gardener in California and Idaho. She is also the creator of Seasonal Wisdom, a writer, author, speaker, and consultant about gardening, fresh food, seasonal folklore, and other topics, including social media. Recently, she started a new online resource to help adults reverse type 2 diabetes with farm fresh, low-carb living. Teresa says vegetable gardeners are ideal folks to benefit from this lifestyle. Welcome to the program, Teresa.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on your show. Hello, Wisconsin.
Well, thank you for taking time to, I know it's early where you're at there, but thank you for taking time to come on and share some of your wisdom with Holly, myself, and all of our listeners.
Great, I'm glad to be here.
Now, since we're approaching fall here, what's folklore and what's a good fall folklore story for our listeners?
Well, folklore is just basically the traditional beliefs, customs, and stories of a community. And this is passed down through the generations by word of mouth, or it used to be with almanacs, which were very important and popular in earlier centuries. Now, for gardeners, a common folklore was, in October, dung your field, and all your land, its wealth will yield. And this is really good advice because fall is a great time to apply compost, cow manure, or other soil amendments. You know, as a farmer once told me, if you feed the soil will feed you. So This is just an example of how they would use these traditions and lessons learned to help future generations.
And that's the thing. We feed the soil feeds us. In commercial, large, inorganic agriculture, you feed the plants. The soil is just a medium in which that plant can survive for the time of the life of the plant. So they've reversed it, and they've gotten away from the way nature has designed plants to grow.
That's exactly right. And these people, they didn't worry about pesticides and things. They worried about good manures. How could they make the best manure? How could they, put a $2 plant in a $6 hole? That you put the money into the soil, not the plant.
Definitely. Now, we get questions about edible flowers, and I know it's something people like to grow. What are some common edible flowers grown in the Midwest? What are important safety tips? And what are some simple serving ideas?
Well, let's start out with safety, because that's very important with any plant, but especially flowers. It's really important that you always know what you are eating. You never want to eat any flowers that have been sprayed with pesticides or other chemicals. And you only want to eat flowers that were grown for human consumption. If you go to a nursery and just buy some flowers and take them home and eat it, you may be eating plants that were grown with systemic pesticides that weren't really intended for consumption. Now, in most cases, you're going to only eat the flower petals, not the stamen or pistil or inner parts, because sometimes that can cause allergy problems for people. And there's lots of common edible flowers. In fact, in the Middle Ages, people ate flowers quite frequently. And one of the most popular one is the rose, which of course you only eat the unsprayed rose petals. And these were often used for baked goods or for flavored honeys, and the honey would be boiled down with red rose petals until it was a nice aroma and flavor, and then it would be kept because it was supposed to be very medicinal, probably because it had vitamin C. Another edible flower is Calendula officinalis. And whenever you see a name, a Latin name with officinalis on it, that means that in an earlier time, it was considered a medicinal plant. These colorful annual plants grow very easily from seed, and sometimes they self-seed. They did for me in Idaho. And they were known as pot marigold because they often were used in pottages, or in the Middle Ages, that was what they called stews. So you can add these colorful petals to salad soups or casseroles. They're really quite good, and they're a little bitter, but not in a bad way. So they're supposed to be good for your liver.
So,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say that it's really, you're recommending to mix it in with some type of other ingredient. It's not really like a potato chip, eat it raw type of by itself.
That's a really good point. Yes, it's more of an ingredient, like you would use an herb.
Okay.
That sort of thing, in most cases. And then lavender. I know that lavender might be difficult for you, but English lavender is supposed to be more winter hardy than some of the other varieties. Have you had any luck with lavender in Wisconsin?
We can get lavender to grow somewhat if we get it from a very well-established plant from the garden center, but starting it from seed, it's a very take your chances. Out of 20 plants, maybe we'll get one to start, and maybe it will survive or maybe it won't.
I'm just impressed you even tried to start it from seed because it would be a challenge, I would imagine. But if with some winter protection, I've heard that English lavender can do better in colder climates. And in Idaho, I was zone 6, and it would actually self-seed in my garden, which was pretty funny. Just remember with lavender that a little goes a long way. And this is, for example, you could make a lavender tea. You could take a quarter teaspoon of lavender flowers and pour some boiling water over it and let it steep for about 5 minutes. And that's a nice relaxing tea with some lemon. It can also be used in baked goods. You could grind up sugar. Not that I encourage people to use a lot of sugar, but if they are going to, you can add a little bit of lavender to that. Just a little bit, maybe 1 to 10, that kind of ratio. A really popular edible flower is nasturtium, and I'm pretty sure they grow in Wisconsin, don't they?
Yes.
They grow as an annual, right? And the most important thing about nasturtiums are not to fertilize them too much or they won't flower very well. So they actually do better in average soil. But you can eat the flowers and the leaves, and they have a peppery taste. And Thomas Jefferson used to grow nasturtiums at Monticello, and he would pickle the unopened seeds like capers.
I mean,
Interesting.
Yeah. And then there's violas and pansies. They're also edible. Just eat the leaves. The petals, excuse me, not the leaves. Eat the petals. And they're great for salad soups, syrups. And, they're one of the earliest flowers to come in spring, and I used to grow them a lot in fall in Idaho, too.
Well, Teresa, you taught people how to grow food for years as seasonal wisdom. Why did you start farmfreshlowcarbliving.com? What was the inspiration behind this new movement in your, garden career?
Well, thanks for asking. I was working as an assistant editor for the University of California's UC Food Observer, and I was writing about food and farming and health and nutrition, and I was implementing their social media, and I would see a lot of conflicting information, and I thought, no wonder people are confused. It was like beef is bad for you, beef is good for you, what plant-based is best, what is going on? So when I was personally diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, I thought I was already eating the right foods because I was following the expert advice, and I was writing about these issues, and I had actually worked for the same PR agency that invented the nutritional pyramid for the USDA decades earlier. So I was really frustrated. But I went to a certified nutritionist who was up on much of the latest research about fat and carbohydrates and protein, and she put me on a low-carb diet. And I was very skeptical because I had been paid to write the other side of the story. And I do think that those foods are healthy, but I don't think they're healthy for everyone, particularly at the quantity in which they're eaten. And when I started to personally embrace a farm, fresh, low-carb living, it changed my life. I lost 30 pounds without counting calories, not even exercising as much as I had been exercising, which amazed me. My blood pressure dropped, my triglycerides dropped, and I reversed my diabetes and got off of diabetes medication. So for me, it was clear that this was the right way for me to be eating in this stage in my life. And I knew if I could do this, that other people could do it. And so I wanted to give people the straight talk about how to get healthy again.
Fantastic. Now, why are vegetables so important for this lifestyle? And how is this different from a typical, type 2 diabetes diets in the United States?
Well, vegetables are the best carbohydrates you can eat. People don't realize that vegetables are even carbohydrates. They think all the carbohydrates are the processed grains and things, but vegetables are carbohydrates that are the best you can eat. Not only if you're type 2 diabetic, but if you're anybody, at any age. They're the most nutrient-rich. They have valuable phytochemicals that we're just beginning now to understand. They taste good, they're versatile, and they don't break down quickly into glucose in your body and spike your blood sugar like processed grains and starchy foods do. And unfortunately, only about 1 in 10 Americans are eating the recommended amounts of vegetables, which is about 2 to 3 cups of vegetables a day. And that's according to the Centers for Disease Control. And mostly what people are eating, and they're eating oftentimes 50% of their diet as carbohydrates. And they're filling up on sugary processed carbs, which aren't as nutritious and which can contribute to a number of health issues. So there's a lot of talk about plant-based diets, but not all plants are the same, as any garden will tell you, So that's why we have to really focus on the vegetables.
So with that being said, what are the best vegetables for people with type 2 diabetes or someone on a low-carb diet? What are some recommendations? Obviously, I would assume you would suggest to speak with their physician, but what would you recommend for them to eat?
Well, I think that the best thing that you can eat for any of the vegetables are the leafy vegetables, because they have the lowest carbs, but they're very high in nutrients. And there are so many salad greens that you can grow, especially right now. They thrive in fall weather. But there's also the other greens, like the kales and the Swiss chards that do good in summer, and the mustard greens and the collard greens and the turnip greens and the spinach. I mean, you can go on. And if you try to eat them a couple times a day, maybe you have some spinach in your scrambled eggs, or a salad with chicken breast, or maybe some sauteed greens with a pork chop, or maybe a homemade protein drink with some kale. And the good thing about these leafy vegetables are they're some of the easiest vegetables to grow. I mean, you can sow salad greens in a row, and then as they start to grow in, you can thin them and eat the little teeny salad ones. And I've even moved, if I didn't get my rows straight, I'd move them around. You can do that. They're pretty flexible. Or you can scatter seeds really thinly for a cut and come again kind of garden, where you cut it down to the ground and then it comes back 2 or 3 times again. And, you know, in the summer you want to give these kind of greens some afternoon shade, even during the hot months, but most leafy greens actually prefer cooler temperatures. And they like to have some winter protection, and if they do, they can actually grow quite long. For example, Nikki Javor lives in Nova Scotia, and she wrote a book called The Year-Round Vegetable Gardener. Have you ever had her on your show?
Yes, we have.
Oh, okay. Then everybody knows Nikki. Well, she's a perfect example of she eats leafy greens all year long. So I would say as much as you can, eat the rainbow, because every color has a different phytochemical, but leafy greens should be at the top of the list.
Well, Teresa, we appreciate you taking time and coming on the program to share your information with us. How can our listeners find more information about you?
Well, if they go to my website, which is farmfreshlowcarbliving.com, you can get 7 tips on how I reverse diabetes too. And you can also sign up for my Straight Talk newsletter, where I give out free advice, helpful research, nutritional tips, and more. I'm also at Farm Fresh Low Carb Living on Facebook and Instagram, and I'd love to see you all over there.
Well, Teresa, thank you very much for coming on the program. We've learned a lot, and you've informed not only our listeners, but Holly and myself.
Thank you.
Oh, great. Well, thank you so much for having me on the show. I hope you have a great Saturday.
Thank you. You as well. And when we come back, your garden questions and our garden answers right after this.
If you have a gardening question, now is the time to call in on the ivorganics.com 3-in-1 Plant Guard hotline at 414-444-5250.
Woodman's is a Wisconsin-based family-owned company founded in 1919. They offer low prices in every single aisle every day. No need to carry a discount card. From produce to meat to international to natural and organic, all offered at the lowest possible prices. Over 60,000 products at every store. Service and savings every day. They're employee-owned to help you save money. They also offer online shopping for pickup and delivery, working to save you more money. Visit woodmans-food.com to find the nearest location.
Garden seeds do not have to cost a fortune, just 99 cents at migardener.com. Now with over 450 varieties of non-GMO, heirloom, and organic flower, vegetable, and herb seeds available year-round. Pay less and get more seeds. Shipping as low as $2.50. That just makes sense. Go to migardener.com for seeds and garden needs, tools, and special blend fertilizers. migardener.com. It's that simple. Family owned and operated. Shield and Seal vacuum sealers and the highest quality vacuum sealing products, unique black and clear and all black bags, protecting your produce and product better than traditional bags. Find out more at shieldandseal.com. Rebel Green, responsibly made natural products that are good for you and the environment. Made in the USA, plant-based, vegan, and always toxic-free. Find out more at rebelgreen.com. Use coupon code WIVEG15 to save 15% off your next purchase at rebelgreen.com/shop.
Blue Mel's Garden and Landscape Center offers an awesome selection of high-quality garden and landscape products. We have just the plants you're looking for: annuals, perennials, veggies, herbs, and more. Plus, you can always count on us to answer all of your questions and offer expert advice. Blue Mel's also carries the largest selection of bulk landscape materials in the area. Enjoy a beverage from our coffee shop while your kids run around in our huge playground. Join our growing list of highly satisfied customers. Visit the garden center that offers everything you're looking for. Visit Bluemel's today.
Bluemel's, 4930 West Loomis Road, 414-282-4220. The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener is brought to you by the following: Handy Safety Knife, BioSafe, Tall Earth, CHAPIN International, The Plant Booster, Ivy Organics, Woodman's Market, Bluemel's Landscaping Garden Center, Purple Cow Organics. Find all sponsors at the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com and thank them for their support.
Now back to the Wisconsin Vegetable Garden Radio Show.
You're either listening to this show for a couple of reasons. One, you're either a gardener, you want to be a gardener, you know somebody who's a gardener, or you accidentally picked up a gardening magazine at your local dentist office. So you're one of those people.
With your hosts, Joey and Holly Baird.
Well, you can certainly call into the Ivy Organics 3-in-1 Plant Guard hotline just like our next caller has. Caller, you're on the air.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, raspberry plants. I have somebody gave me some, and they've grown like 5 feet high. And how do I cut them to replant to make more plants?
Okay, so you want to, you got some raspberry plants that are growing quite high, tall.
Yes.
And you want to kind of cut them back so that they kind of bush out more.
Well, and I'd like to use what I cut off to replant.
Okay, you want to propagate them.
Yes.
Okay. So one thing you can do is you would trim them back in the fall.
Right.
And then, so that's one thing you would do to
get that. Yeah, you want to cut the back some of it. You how old are these plants? Are these multiple years old?
I don't think they're too old.
Okay, so you can propagate them. That's not a problem. What you would do is right now you would remove sections of the stem, and then you would go ahead and you plant them about 3 to 6 inch cuttings, and you want to make sure it's a clean cut, and you want to make sure that you're leaving some of the leaf nodes on them. And then what you do, you don't plant them right away. You put them in some water until they start to sprout roots. Once they sprout those roots, then you would plant them.
I see. Do I take some of the leaves off on the cuttings?
You can take some of the leaves off. What you're going to submerge in the water, you'll want to remove those leaves so the stem can generate roots under the water, and then you can go ahead and once they begin to root, then you can plant them.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you for calling. We want next caller, line 2. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Holly. Good morning, Mandebo, and good morning, Milwaukee. Tyrone W. speaking. They kind of go hand in hand there. But even with you were speaking about the lettuce earlier, and I got rained on a couple of days ago, and I feel like it got hit by something in January, February here.
Right.
But I was wondering, is the soil quite? First of all, is the soil quite capable of breaking down acid rains before it gets to the fruits and vegetables and things? And then on the tail end of that, then the lettuce with the I know basically salmonella has been confined to the chickens and the meats and stuff. So where's all this salmonella and cross contamination or whatever the ground or the warehouses? Where's this contamination from the lettuces and all these different greeneries coming in? Is that the lack of the soil breaking down these acid rains from the rain, the warehouses, or what have you there? And I'll listen to you over the air then.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so soil has what's called a buffering capacity. So if there is acid in the rain, if there's harmful things in the rain or water, it's going to buffer that out. That's not a problem. So you don't have to worry about that, the acid in the rain, having any impact on your fruits and vegetables. The salmonella is because of runoff. It's because of farms not properly keeping distance between their animals and the vegetables, and so their waste, the animal waste, creates runoff when it rains or when they water, and then that affects the plants.
And that's the thing with the lettuce. The farmers have to keep that distance in order.
And things like leafy greens, particularly lettuce, spinach, is more susceptible because that stuff is running past those leafy greens.
Barry writes in and says he's got a problem with his pumpkins. The neck of my large pumpkin is starting to rot. What can I treat it with? Please help. Well, the problem, the answer is nothing. That's a simple answer, because once rot has begun to occur on any vegetable, whether that's tomatoes or eggplant or summer squash or pumpkins in this manner, it's irreversible. Now, here's the upside to this. If your pumpkin is nearly ripe or is ripe and you notice rot to begin to occur on it, you can harvest it and remove the rot portion of it, and the majority of that fruit or vegetable is edible, is safe to consume once you remove all the rotted areas of it. Now, that's one way to save it, but if rot is already occurring, there's nothing in which one can do in order to fix that problem. The other things in which you could do for pumpkins is you could look at ways of trying to identify what that problem is, because just verbally saying this is the problem, it's very hard to identify the specific the different reasons why that has occurred. Another question, it's a tree question. I have a tree and it has webbing with tiny worms in the webbing. What is the problem, or what is it? Well, most likely, based on the description that you're sending in, tint worms. What you want to do is safely remove the infected portion of that tree, the limb, the branches, that area, and you can burn them or you can throw them in the trash, either or. You don't want to put them in your recycling bin or for municipality trash pickup, but there are treatments in which you can apply if you're having this issue more frequently. You can also spray it with soap solution to help rid the problem. But if it's a large infected problem on your trees, then you might need to seek more professional help. If it's just a small area, just go ahead and remove that branch or that limb right now and dispose of it. Otherwise, it can and will spread to other portions of the tree. Also, with tree problems, we've seen this year here in the Milwaukee area, we've had a prolonged period of drought, and the leaves have been beginning to drop, and even some of these fruit trees that we've had has dropped a good amount of small fruit because it can't sustain it. We've still got a tremendous amount of fruit on the trees, but it's just the tree understands how much it can support, so it basically cuts off and kills off what it can't support to better carry on the traits and the survival of the tree. So if you're seeing that occur with your leaf trees or your fruit trees, don't worry about it. There's nothing that you need to do. We've got a lot of rain now. It should help fix the problem, but that's the reason why it was occurring. It was trying to support the tree by aborting the leaves and fruit. Well, that will wrap the show up. We appreciate you tuning in and taking some of your day to join us on the program. Programming note, join us next week when we're going to go over unique vegetables and the way they grow. We're going to go over about 5 different vegetables that maybe you think you know how they grow, but we're going to tell you how they really do grow. They're very fascinating. As well as dealing with slugs. We've had a lot of rain in the area, at least here in the Milwaukee area and upper Midwest areas. We're dealing with slugs now in the garden. We're going to go over some ways in which we can control or eliminate those problems in the garden. As well as Juan and Ashley. This is a couple out of Central Texas. They started a garden in their apartment, and now they've migrated to a homestead. We're going to hear their story and how they made it to a much larger plot of land, just starting in an apartment. Miss any portion of this program or want to revisit it in its entirety, you can certainly do that by going to the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com website and clicking on the highlight tab and clicking on the radio tab at the top of the page. The highlight tab, you can get individual interviews and specific segments on the right-hand side. Until next week, for Holly Baird, I'm Joy Baird, and we will see you in the garden.
You've been listening to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show. Tell a friend and join Joey and Holly again next week so we can all grow together. The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show is a production of the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com in association with WI Garden Media, broadcast live from the WNOV 860 AM and the W293CX 106.5 FM, Courier Communication Studios in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.